Hey guys, welcome to Audio Stew, which is the podcast over here on Renewed Horizon. It's really just going to be a kind of a variety show. They're going to be talking about a lot of different things with a lot of different people. Mostly, I just want to have good conversation with people I know, and and I want to get to know them better, and so this gives me an opportunity to do that, and really just to have good conversation with others about things we care about or we find interesting, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and want to join in on the conversation. This first episode is a little bit rough. I hadn't never done a podcast before, neither had my sister, and so we're going to be talking about Star Wars because we both really like Star Wars, but it's a little bit rough. The first 15-20 minutes or so of the show is just us nervously laughing over and over and over again. But after a while, we kind of settle down and get more into a groove and a rhythm. And so just a forewarning for that. And also, I apologize for Christina's audio a little bit just because she was kind of sick. So every now and then it kind of pops up, but it's not a big deal, hopefully. But yeah, we wound up talking about Star Wars for like 4 hours. So don't worry, I've edited it down a bit and I've split it into 2 episodes, so it's a bit more digestible for you guys, but I hope you enjoy. That way it's already going, and then you don't even know when we've started.
It's just like amazing.
Wow, I know.
Nobody
right?
has ever used that before in a podcast.
It's
original. That's
very original. Hey guys, I just waved at you even though you definitely cannot see me. Great start. I'm Kurt Bailey. I'm joined here today with my sister. Her name is
Christina Marie Bailey.
Oh wow, she gave the full name. So if you ever want to use her middle name against her, there it is. Anyway, so we're here. What's a cool fact about you, Christina? Why are you here? What makes you qualified?
I have absolutely no qualifications. I don't have a college degree. And I like to wear sweatpants.
I mean, sure.
Is that a qualification?
Yes, it is. It is definitely a qualification. I have no qualifications, so I am banking on the people I interact with to have qualifications. So, welcome to Audio Stew, hosted by $100 mic that I bought and sweatpants girl.
This is gonna be fantastic.
Yes. Music to people's ears. So we are here today because Christina and I are both fans of a little known franchise known as Star Wars. A couple of you may have heard of it. And Christina, for the record, is slightly-ish maybe having a cold and
or bronchitis.
Or bronchitis. I mean, it could be anything.
Plague.
We don't know, but we could probably find out if we asked Google.
No way of knowing.
But she really wanted to talk about Star Wars now and not 3 days later when she's probably feeling better.
Yeah,
so
in the state of pure illusion.
Yes.
Illusion.
In the state of pure illusion. We are going to talk about Star Wars. Earlier she told me that what is it? I want to talk about Star Wars because I'm loony right now and I want to bake a cheesecake.
I do though.
And it did not register the cheesecake part for me until about 5 seconds later.
This is without cold medicine, so.
Yeah, I mean, and she was drinking some tea earlier, so her voice is probably feeling all right.
It's fantastic.
Did you guys like that sip I just took? That was some.
It was pure gold.
That was some ginger ale, apple juice.
That could be your intro music.
Hang on.
For the audio stew.
Let's just listen to how crisp this sounds.
Oh, gross! This is ASMR.
Oh yes. No, okay, I take it back. That's a whole
different topic.
I take it back. No, our topic today is not ASMR. It is Star Wars.
Star Wars.
We are like what? We're like 4 minutes in. Actually, it's not as long as I thought.
Fine.
I thought it was like 15 minutes already.
This is delusional/illusional banter.
Yes. So we're gonna talk about Star Wars. We're gonna go through each Star Wars movie that doesn't include like there was like a Christmas special, I think. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the Clone Wars or the Mandalorian, all that Baby Yoda jazz and stuff like Yoda. That. Yeah, just because I mentioned Baby Yoda, this podcast is like instantly gonna get 1 million views. Baby Yoda, just say it over and over.
Live long, Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm. So we're only gonna be talking about the movies, and if my calculations are correct, there are 11 in total. There are the 3 different trilogies, and then also Solo and Rogue One. Those are the 2 Star Wars stories in addition. But we are going to talk in not like chronological order as far as when they were actually made. We're going to talk about where they fall in the Star Wars timeline.
In a galaxy far, far
in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago. And they have really good technology, but are also don't have things like iPhones. Yeah. So who knows how that works? Oh, hold up. Excuse me, Father.
This is a podcast.
Our father has interrupted us.
He should be filming this, maybe?
No, Father,
it's called daughter. It's called a podcast. There's no video for a podcast.
I should be videotaping the moment. Is what this could be hysterical or historical. I'm not sure.
Right now it's both. We haven't even got to what we're talking about yet.
Oh, I get
Father.
Do you have something you need, or are you just
eating a salad?
Eating a salad in here.
I have a lot of needs.
Dad ASMR. Dad eating a salad.
Danny Bailey has arrived on the scene. How do you feel about Star Wars, Dad? What's your favorite Star Wars?
I think the stars should get along with each other.
That's not how it works. Dad, how do you feel about Jar Jar Binks?
I feel strongly about him.
Yes, because that is the first in the timeline.
That was a beautiful tie-in.
I might.
Is he related to Dennis?
Dennis the Menace?
Dennis Binks?
No.
Dennis
And his cousin named Phantom.
Yeah.
We might wait for Dad to finish his salad before we move on.
That's a pretty cool looking microphone, What is that?
I showed you that the other day.
Forgive our father.
It's a blue Yeti.
He was born in the 1600s and he doesn't know what technology is.
Are you still recording?
Yes.
Wow,
I mean, I could
edit this part out, right?
Maybe.
I can. You're just making more work, though.
I'm sure this will make for some very fine audio fodder.
The missing 20 minutes.
Audio fodder.
Now,
Wow,
what
we're still we're not even 10 minutes in.
We were talking about something.
Yeah.
Can't even remember what.
Was it Star Wars?
Maybe. Something about a phantom and a menace.
Yes. So, Star Wars Episode 1, Dennis the Menace, according to my father. No, okay, The Phantom Menace. This is going to be probably the most controversial of them all because there are a lot of people who absolutely hate this movie. My dad is among them, I think. I do not. I love The Phantom Menace.
I would have to concur.
Christy and I both love The Phantom Menace. I think it, for me, like, so that was released, that's really early in 2000s, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, you were like a baby.
Yeah, so I wasn't, I don't have fond memories of when I was 2 of watching this movie, but I do know that when I got to be a little bit older, that was one of the first Star Wars movies I'd really seen, because I'd probably seen like the original trilogy and then The Phantom Menace, and then you don't think so?
No, The Phantom Menace was one of the first DVDs we ever owned.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah. So it would have been the first thing you saw. You would have just been really little.
I hadn't seen any of the other Star Wars. You don't think?
Dad didn't get that until you were older, actually.
Okay. Well, thank you for being older
Fact
check, because I was too young. I know it was one of the first that I saw. I just didn't know if I'd already seen other ones. So apparently this probably was the first Star Wars movie that I ever saw. And I love everything about The Phantom Menace because it's just good. I don't know. everything that people hate on it, there's just something about it, and maybe it's my nostalgia is blinding me a bit, but like, people hate Jar Jar Binks. I think rightfully so. He's not a great character, but I also love all of the cheesiness in it because all the Anakin lines in this movie, little Annie, he just
it's working.
yeah. Let's try spinning. That's a good trick. You know.
Are you an angel?
They're really like I don't know how to feel about it because they're not great lines, but he's just like, he's so innocent.
It's
that
pure. It's very pure.
It's just good. And even if they are cheesy, like, I love it. We are exactly where we were before about 30 seconds ago, and we're continuing to talk about The Phantom Menace. We already rambled about The Phantom Menace for like 10 minutes, and then I realized it wasn't recording, so...
It's fine.
We're gonna re-ramble about The Phantom Menace, which may or may not be in our benefit, because we might structure it a little bit more now.
Yeah.
So we both love The Phantom Menace. Talking about... Let's start with kind of the plot, like, and writing and stuff like that. I really love how this movie flows, I guess. It just, every sequence kind of drives the next, and so the whole movie is like constantly progressing. It's not like, there's never really like a filler scene in the movie. Like every scene is, well, they went like they're in the, you know, you got Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. They're in the spaceship because they're trying to negotiate, right? And then things go badly, so they have to abandon ship. They're getting chased in the forest, so they need some safe place. So they go meet Jar Jar and his pals. I did the slobbery guy sound effect. It sounded way better earlier, but I don't care now because I already tried it once. So then they go from there, and then they go to help the Queen with Jar Jar, and then they get her out, but then they need like more fuel or something. They run low on power, so they have
they need a ship,
land on
actually.
a place. Is that how it works?
They need to repair their ship.
Oh, okay.
They're missing something.
We haven't seen this movie for...
Maybe they need some power converters.
But I was gonna go to Tashi's station and pick up some power converters. We'll talk about that movie later.
But yeah.
And so then they run into Anakin and his mom, and they learn about them, and then it becomes a little bit bigger than just, we need to fix our ship. We need this boy is special. Mm-hmm. And then it just constantly progresses, and there's the whole pod racing sequence. Everything just drives the next sequence. Mm-hmm. So regardless of how great like some of the acting or some of the performances, or that's the same thing, or some of the writing, which I still think is really good, but there's a couple maybe that are like, yeah, okay, yeah, it was fine, but I just love the plot. The final sequence is probably the best part.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you like about the final?
I would have to say that maybe this is more character related, but Qui-Gon Jinn is, him and Anakin, their whole relationship is kind of like the heart of the movie. But you have to tie in the plot, the action too, and the final scene does a great job of bringing that all together, and really it pulls at the heartstrings, but also things happen too. Like you kind of get this better understanding of like why Anakin is the way he is, why this is like kind of, Darth Vader's origin story. But you fall in love with these characters too, and the action scene, brings in Darth Maul. He's great. Mm-hmm. It just does a good job of like, these are all the elements of the movie, and we're gonna tie it together here in the end in a very clear way.
Yeah, there are some movies that struggle to portray a fight on multiple fronts. Mm-hmm. The Phantom Menace doesn't. It does it really well. You have the ground battle, which is sort of like the main war, actually. And that's, the Gungans, Jar Jar and his pals are defending against the droid army, right? They're actually essentially just trying to stall for time.
Yeah.
While you have the big space battle, which, you got Anakin taking out the giant space station all by himself. Which,
spinning's a cool trick.
Yeah. We might have said that earlier. I don't know anymore.
I don't know what got lost, but I just want to quote as much of this movie.
We need more Annie. Yippee!
And then the initial like big fight scene with.
Oh yeah. So then to even get into space, you have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan taking on Darth Maul 2v1, but Darth Maul's got that double lightsaber.
Double-edged sword. Oof. There.
Well, it's not double-edged. Lightsaber's all edged. Christina needs to go bake a cheesecake.
I need to go bake a cheesecake.
But yes, that sequence is epic. It's really well choreographed. The music was the Battle of the Fates or something like that.
Yeah. Exactly like that.
Corn The best part of that sequence is probably of the fight sequence is how it ends, because you have the part where they all get divided. Mm-hmm. Remember, like with the red barriers. Yes. So you have Darth Maul waiting, and then you have Qui-Gon in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so Darth Maul's he's like ready to go. He's like tapping the shield to see if it'll do anything. He's just rearing to fight. Qui-Gon's just sitting there, and he's going all like meditate style. Yeah. He's like, I'm just gonna breathe for a second. I don't know, maybe he was tired or something because he's old, but... And then Obi-Wan is just staring down Darth Maul. He's like, let me at him. And then, of course, Qui-Gon dies. No! It was so sad.
And maybe it's just because I've seen it so many times, but it's just, like, so vivid and stuck in my mind, that whole scene, which means... I think it means it has to have been so well done. Like, just that whole scene.
I can still picture his face of when he gets stabbed. Because you don't actually... see him getting stabbed. I think you see him pulling the lightsaber out, but and then Obi-Wan screaming, and then
his little rat tail.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And then his fight with Darth Maul, because now he was already like aggressive and wanting to go, but now like Qui-Gon's dead, and Obi-Wan, he wasn't sure about Anakin this whole time. And Qui-Gon, he's probably my favorite character in that, at least in that film.
He's very much an idealist, like...
Yeah. He sees the potential in Anakin, and really, if it weren't for Qui-Gon seeing that in him, then you don't have this whole struggle between Darth Vader and Anakin for the rest of the films.
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing father figure. I don't know which part of this got cut out, but like, there's not another Star Wars movie where you see that really played out in that way. So that way you can kind of like see how later on in life, you know, Anakin as Darth Vader's, I feel like you can kind of see how he still has that in him, and I think it really ties the former movie and the more current movie together in that aspect.
Yeah,
it's subtle, but yeah.
I agree that he's really the only father figure in all of the films. There's some other good relationships, but there's no
it's
father
more like mentor.
Yeah, I mean, Luke and Anakin have a little bit of a broken home thing going on. Their relationship is not great, although it ends really well, which we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I love Qui-Gon. And Anakin, he's so pure and innocent. His mom, I feel like, is...
Oh, I love his mom.
His mom is really great because she wants like the best for him and stuff, and is even willing to let him go, which is, I forgot, that's a really sad sequence. Where
I don't cry a lot in movies.
He like runs back and he like hugs his mom.
But there's like two definite scenes where I want to cry in this movie. It's like when he has to leave his mom, and then either when Qui-Gon dies or at his like funeral. Those are two like really big scenes. And maybe, you know, I was a little kid. I was like 5 when I first saw this movie, so I maybe wasn't their target audience necessarily, but it really struck...
5? No, you probably were their target audience.
I don't know, maybe I was, but it struck me and it stuck with me, and it made me just love the whole franchise all the more, I think.
And you've always liked Padme.
I've always had a thing for Padme. In the first...
And she doesn't do a lot.
Yeah,
although she kind of...
She's in it. I honestly probably nowadays would like her better in this movie out of all of the movies that you actually see her in, because you've got that whole like, oh, I'm actually the queen.
Yeah.
This is just Keira Knightley. Whatever.
Is it really? I didn't know that. Oh.
Honestly.
See, these are things I didn't realize because I haven't seen the movie in forever. And now I actually know who actors and actresses
Natalie
are.
Portman, she's a cool chick. But yeah, and Keira Knightley's just in there doing her stuff.
I didn't know that was her.
Yeah.
Was her Queen Amidala or something like that?
Well, it's Padme Amidala. But...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, man. But it's Phantom Menace. We both agree. It's a great movie. I don't know what else we didn't talk about because, like, part of it got cut and stuff.
Yeah, I think enough people in the world have talked about Jar Jar Binks and the cheesiness of the movie. I just feel like it doesn't get enough love for what it is.
Yeah.
It's a great standalone movie, actually, too. Like,
yeah, I didn't
like,
even think about that.
If they had ended it there, like, and I think years went by, I feel like maybe people would have learned to love it more.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, you know, they went on. It was a trilogy.
Yeah. Which we will soon be discussing. I don't know if I ever talked about the CGI. I know we did when we cut it.
I don't think we did.
The CGI in the movie, some of the visual effects, there's a couple rough parts, but it's honestly really pretty good as a whole. The pod racing sequence is really well done. Mm-hmm. Exceptionally well done. Like, it's such a good race, and it's important because again, it's not filler action. There's that like stuff riding on the race. Mm-hmm. That's what's good about it. This determines, you know, whether or not they'll get to go free and stuff. The pod racing's really good. The droids and some of the Gungans, they're not great, but I think they're pretty good still.
For the time period in which this movie was made, people were still experimenting so much with CGI stuff. And it wasn't practical effects anymore, so that you have to give them some grace for that, I would have to say. For this movie. Yeah.
That's basically it for The Phantom Menace. We've talked about corn cobs and...
Qui-Gon. Corn cobs.
No, I want to do it again. No, they won't. The credits will do. No, I gotta get in character. The credits will do fine. No, they won't.
Liam Neeson.
Yes, Liam Neeson is a wonderful actor. The Phantom Menace, is it a good movie or a bad movie?
It is a good movie, especially if you just let it live in its own space. Like, if you don't try to compare it too much to other things and you just say this is a Star Wars movie, not that, like, it has to live up to any sort of, like, the nostalgia of the older movies, which did so very well. Like, if you kind of leave it just very subtly connected to that, I think it's a good movie for the time when it came out and the characters that it has.
Mm-hmm. I would also say it is a good movie, and... it was good for the time, and I haven't seen it for probably a couple years.
We watched it so much.
Yeah, we watched it a lot growing up. But it's a good movie. I think if I were to go back and watch it, it would still hold up, partially because of nostalgia. You know, nostalgia blinds a lot of stuff. But even with some of the cheesiness and all that jazz, it's still a great movie. Really well, from a filmmaking standpoint, like, it's really well driven and good writing, good story beats, great action. Everything matters, which is something that we will discuss about many other Star Wars movies. But yes, Phantom Menace, good movie. All right. That probably made a giant pop. That's why I was gonna clap really hard,
Kurt and then turned his head fully around in a circle.
Gross. So that's us gushing of all things about the Phantom Menace, which means it's time for the next movie because we've been talking about this one for like half the podcast. We get to talk about Star Wars. Episode 2.
Yes.
Attack of the Clones.
Which I always want to call Clone Wars, but
that's different. That's
different.
Cartoon TV series, which apparently a lot of people like. I haven't seen.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I haven't seen very much of it, but apparently it's good. Christina, what are your experiences with Attack of the Clones?
Okay, here's the deal. This is just a terrible movie in every single way, except for the fact that I happened to love Padme when I was younger. Padme gets a lot of screen time in this movie. She is kind of like a kick butt sort of person. I think she's awesome. Or at least I used to. When I was really little, I honestly didn't really care about anything else that happened, but there's this whole scene where they're all like chained up and there's like these monsters.
Oh yeah.
I said monsters, which is a bad habit of mine. Monsters. And they're like coming at them, and I just remember her being like really cool. Mm-hmm. But see, that is the one reason why I was check it out from the library. Like many times. I can't even tell you how many times I saw it.
I remember checking this movie out from the library many times. Christina would a lot. I did it. Because I remember watching it. Maybe like I have vague memories of it. But then when we moved back from Arkansas, then I remember coming here and we had watched it. I remember I rented it a few times.
Maybe, yeah.
Which I think was separate from like when you were renting it.
I would have to say that maybe we were the target audience for that one. Even if they were trying for something else, that's actually where it hit home with, I don't know, 7-year-olds.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you too much about the plot other than like, oh no, the clones. It's bad.
No. Okay, well. The clones are the good guys in this movie.
I don't know.
Honestly, yes. Story-wise, I don't even remember how it opens. Like, what's the opening sequence? Oh wait, is it?
It's with the people. He goes there. It's a stormy day, stormy night, maybe.
Wait, is it the city?
Maybe
the city
Ewan
that's
McGregor goes to the. I think it's Ewan McGregor in this one. Actually, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Obi-Wan goes to the place where the. Actually, I think it's a Mandalorian bounty hunter type dude.
Oh yeah.
Where he is, and where the.
I don't know if
clone people are being made. He's a bounty hunter for sure.
Yeah.
But he wears
Bubba
that.
Fett. No, yeah. Jango Fett.
Jango Fett. Yes. That's what it is.
Yes, I do remember the sequence. That's on Camino is the name of that planet.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's where the clones are being developed from this bounty hunter because apparently he's good, and so all the clones are clones of him.
Yeah.
And yes, I remember that sequence. I don't know if that's how
I don't know exactly.
Okay, here's what I remember. There's a scene where it's like nighttime and there's a city and there's like a big there's like flying cars and stuff, and there's like a plot to kill Padme.
Yeah, so basically Anakin's like, I think that's babysitting Padme, sort of. Yeah. But there's that whole like, oh, I can stand on my own. Like, you don't have to watch me. I can take care of myself. And then, of course, they obviously get into like a lot of trouble, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fall in love.
Yeah, Anakin's okay. So we went from little Annie to
oh dear.
To what's it? Christian. What's his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. That's what it's. Yes. Little Annie is not Hayden Christensen.
No. Right? Okay, no. Yes. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not.
So for one, what was like a cutesy "Are you an angel?"
It's just this
is
like,
now a weird romance. Like Anakin suddenly is older, and Padme is exactly the same.
Yeah, somehow that works.
She's maybe like 2 years older, and Anakin's like 6 years older.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happens.
That's iffy.
Yeah, that's not.
This whole movie just is like a filler movie, honestly. Like I couldn't tell you what the point of it being made was.
There's the basic plot is that the droids are mounting like a big comeback after their loss at the one battle of the last movie.
Yeah.
And then so the Republic is enlisting these one people to develop clones that will be their army to fight the droids. That's kind of the gist of the plot. And then there's some stuff with like the Republic is the Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Or what what's his name?
Chancellor
Chancellor
he wears
guy.
many names.
Who's definitely not evil.
Absolutely not.
No, he doesn't. In this one, he's not. It's. I mean, it's. You can tell something's wrong with him, but it's maybe not super clear that he's like the emperor or anything. I
think
it's basically that's kind of the gist of the plot, and then
like,
the rest of it is Padme and Anakin and their romance.
Terrible acting romance. No chemistry.
It's really bad.
You can see the
really
pain
bad.
in their eyes as they say their lines in a monotone.
Isn't he like out in a field or something? And he's like, this reminds me of the grains of Tatooine or something. I don't know what this line is, but he's like,
other stuff happens.
There's he murders a bunch of
he murders some
what are they called? Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
I think.
He murders some of those
because they like killed his mom.
Yeah, he falls in love with Padme.
Mm-hmm.
He gets his arm chopped off.
Oh yeah, Count Dooku is in this movie. What's his name? Saruman guy. What's the name of the actor?
Oh, Christopher something?
Yes, Christopher...
Something.
Christopher something.
Yes.
Lee, right?
Yes,
Christopher Lee.
That sounds right, yeah.
This actually does have a few famous actors.
Things happen in this movie, and there are actors that are now in much better movies in which they were able to show their talents.
Yeah.
We'll put it like that.
We are introduced to Mace Windu. Mace Windu is cool.
Yes, Mace Windu.
We are also introduced to CGI Yoda, who is about half as cool as Puppet Yoda.
It's half as cool even as... I feel like it's like... There's no comparison. Like
CGI Yoda is not cool.
Yeah.
Puppet Yoda is amazing. They're two completely different characters. Yoda in this movie is like... He's just like some sort of old sage who talks backwards, and compared to Puppet Yoda in the original, who maybe he talks a little funny, but he's like a cranky old guy. Like, he's funny. Like, this one, he's supposed to be like serious, and it just doesn't work.
It's just like they made the first movie and they're like, oh wait, this has to be a trilogy, so let's make another one, but let's just get rid of every single person that is good at writing. Let's just throw away any ideas of the plot. And maybe if we just hire people that generally are good actors. I don't know if I could say that for Hayden Christensen. I don't know. Honestly, from the only thing I've ever seen him in. I can't say that maybe he's done too much else, but we could blame it on writing. But there's just no chemistry. Everyone looks like they hate what they're doing. Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. There are a couple of good parts in this movie. Which is probably just the final sequence, honestly, again, it's not great. The final sequence of the Phantom Menace is amazing. Yes. This one is okay, because it's cool. There's like a ton of Jedi who like pop out of everywhere. There's a massive battle of like 40 some Jedi versus all these droids. This is after that scene where they're like gonna be attacked by some beasts or something, and then the giant clone army finally appears, and they're pretty awesome. The only problem is you lost a ton of the stuff, which we'll talk about this later. The original Star Wars is virtually all practical effects, and some really, really good practical effects. The final fight in this movie is almost entirely CGI. Yeah. And so you lose a lot of those good actors like Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Lee. You lose a lot of their good acting when their fight sequence is now CGI. Yeah. Whereas, which maybe the fight with Count Dooku, like maybe there's parts of it that aren't CGI, but then you have Yoda, who's definitely CGI, who's like flying around, and so you have Christopher Lee just
like swinging in the air. That fight sequence is nowhere near as good as Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yeah. I mean, you could try to argue that this is about the same time period where, like, Spy Kids came out. Or, like, Shark Boy or Lava Girl. Stuff like that.
It's when people started to animate
But at
more.
the same time, this is also when, like, Lord of the Rings was coming out around the same time, too. So, like, honestly, I think they just gave up. And they were like, we have to make another movie. But we don't want to.
I'm assuming the plan was to create a trilogy. Mm-hmm. I don't actually know some of the history.
I don't know the whole history, but I feel like they must have either lost a great director, writer, something happened.
Well, George Lucas directed all of the both the original trilogy and
something happened.
The prequel trilogy.
George Lucas's
he
dog
went off the rails.
Now he was sad.
I don't know what happened. He got lucky maybe on the Phantom Menace. Somebody
poured
helped
water
him out.
on his suede shoes. He was just having a bad day when he did all of this.
So honestly, I don't want to talk about this movie anymore because it's bad.
It hurts.
Attack of the Clones is bad.
Other than nostalgia from when I was an innocent little baby child who didn't know any better.
Christina likes Padme's outfits in the movie. I
do, in fact, like her outfits.
I don't like anything
The ending
about
scene,
this
can
movie.
we just talk about that wedding?
Oh yeah, they also got married. That was kind of important.
You could just tell
I kind
how
of forgot
much
about
they
that.
love each other in that scene. Just like,
yeah. Oh, but they're like,
I love you so much.
but we can't tell anyone that we're married, or else it'll
Yeah.
be bad.
Which I feel like is a good lead into the next movie.
His Jedi are... Oh, yeah. Okay, so... We both agree it's a bad movie.
There's just... there's no reason to watch it. There's just no...
Yeah. Unless you're the most diehard Star Wars fan and you need to know everything.
And even then, it will probably just make you cry.
Movie. And not like in a good way. Like in a, this is burning my eyeballs. Which means, though, we're going to transition into the third Star Wars movie, which is Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, yes. Yes, that is
Yes, that is in fact the episode.
I have seen this movie twice. Neither of us saw it when it first came out.
No, not at all.
And I may or may not have made Christina watch it about a week ago.
For the first
time.
I have avoided it very purposely.
Purposefully. Christina, how did you feel about watching Revenge of the Sith for the first time? Was it as bad as you imagined it'd be?
I feel like they just tried so hard in the worst way possible. They tried so hard.
Explain.
With no ability and no actual understanding of what made the original Star Wars movies good, or what made episode 1 like a possibility for something that could have been a good trilogy. They kept the same actors for some reason. I can't tell you that.
Obi-Wan was a good choice. He's still good.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
They still kept all the good actors.
Yeah. They just... I mean, there's just so much that doesn't make sense. And that I think you're just supposed to pretend, like, isn't a problem. Like, oh, wait, we're hiding this secret pregnancy, but everyone knows that Padme's pregnant.
Yeah.
But she hangs out with Anakin all the time, so, like, what are people supposed to assume? Like, it doesn't make any sense in that regard.
Yes. So the basic plot of this is the Emperor got captured or something, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan have to go save him. I mean, he's not the Emperor. He's Palpatine. He's something. He's a good guy.
Obviously.
They go rescue him, and also they kill Count Dooku because he's a bad guy. And the Emperor was like, "Do it, Anakin," and I was like, "Don't you think we should bring this man to justice?" He's like, "No, kill him now."
Okay.
Like, okay, sure.
Like, it's just like, I mean, maybe you got the tiniest hint of that in the whole second episode 2.
Oh yeah, Attack of the Clones. You had
maybe the biggest hint, but now it's just like Anakin gave up on life and like he doesn't care about anything.
He grew out his hair. And actually, to be honest, I like his hair in this movie.
Okay, that's the only reason to see this movie.
Yes, Anakin's hair. It's long. It's not rat tail though. Mm-hmm. He went from rat tail to like full on surfer dude. Yeah. You know. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith it had more potential, I think, than the second movie.
It has potential, and there's some, like, slightly vaguely funny parts, but it's just, it's not believable.
No.
Nothing is believable, and
nothing.
They treat the audience like they're incredibly stupid.
I hate that in movies.
I don't like that.
They go from, okay, so a little bit more plot, right? So they're gonna free the Senator Chancellor guy. Oh no, Padme's pregnant, and how does Anakin react? She's like, Annie, I'm pregnant, and he's like, oh, this is good. He's like, none of this. Oh, that's awesome! I'm gonna be a father. It's wow, this is great. But not really. You could see the enthusiasm on my face. Anyway, that's...
Yeah.
And then they, there's General Grievous. We're introduced to him in this movie. Which he just kind of appears. Mm-hmm. I actually think he's kind of cool. He's okay. But he's just... I like his design is kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's like...
Yeah.
This weird mix of robotics and like organic stuff. I don't know. He's weird. He's got 4 arms. He killed a bunch of Jedi, I think is the story. So he stole their lightsabers.
Yeah. Essentially
all the bad. Every sequence is just bad. Like there's 2 sequences that are okay in this movie, and that's the Order 66 sequence is somewhat dark, like they actually tried to go for something, and seeing all these Jedi get murdered and stuff when the clones turn, that's like kind of like, oh, that was a little scary, but
yes.
And then
if I knew these people and cared about their lives.
That is very true. Christina does not care about what's his name? Kiale Mundi or something. The guy with the big cone head.
Yeah.
She does not care about him. Or, yeah, that is true. We don't hardly know any of these people. Yoda goes to the Wookiees. They're on Kashyyyk and Chewie's there. Because
you have to.
Because cameo, it's Chewie. Whoa.
How can we make people come to this movie?
Chewie's in it. What? Yeah, I'll come. Does he even have any lines? I don't think so. Okay, that's fine. I'll just see a CGI face. That's great.
Yeah. It's just like they took something that should be so important and you should feel everything that happens. This is the origin story of one of the greatest villains of all
Darth
time.
Vader.
And it falls so flat. Especially with flat acting.
Yeah, the acting is really bad. The writing is really bad. It's obvious that the Chancellor guy is evil, and yet Anakin, he's
got like...
So here's another bad part about it. Okay, right? The reason he doesn't turn in the Chancellor, when he realizes, after being so dense for a while, that he's evil, right? He literally tells him that... The Chancellor literally tells Anakin, hey, I know some of the dark powers. And then he's like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. I guess you're a learned man. What?
No!
He's evil. When he finally figures it out, the reason he doesn't turn him in, well, there's a couple reasons, right?
Yeah.
One is, the main reason, though, is because the Chancellor promises that he can save Padme. Oh, we forgot to mention that. Apparently, Anakin had a dream that Padme was gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies type thing, which is kind of cool, I guess. But if he just would not have flipped out about a dream, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
She literally would have been perfectly fine if he hadn't flipped out.
Yeah.
And so he goes to the Chancellor because the Chancellor says that he will, he'll
could protect her.
Oh, I can protect her with my dark powers,
Just
and then
kill everybody.
yeah, kill everybody for me, and then
Like, okay,
become my apprentice.
just that switch between this is good Anakin and this is bad Anakin.
He did not
it was
struggle.
Like, there's nothing.
Nothing.
There's
Yes.
nothing there.
And it wasn't even like I'm doing this for Padme. Like he said it, but you did not mean it.
No.
You can't tell.
There's inconsistencies too with like the power of the Force throughout all of the movies, but in this one you really see it too, where it's just like nobody uses it.
Oh yeah,
until
everyone
it's convenient.
forgets how to use the Force.
Unless it's just a plot device, and it's like I feel like that's important.
Yeah, they're literally not using their powers and stuff. And they don't use them necessarily a lot in... Like, I'm trying to think back to because we keep going to the Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace...
that fight sequence,
there's a lot
they
of
use...
origin to, like, what the Force is. And I think you see it on occasion. Mostly just, like, I need my lightsaber.
Yeah,
but...
that's literally... Okay, they use it to grab their lightsaber and stuff. They use it for jumping around and moving. That's kind of their like, mobility. I remember Darth Maul, he, like, throws something at a door to, like, make it close or open. It's kind of... They use it in a good way. In this one, it's like...
The dark side. I'm influencing Anakin, but you can't really tell if it's the Force or not.
It might just be him being stupid.
It just might be... He just doesn't care. He's got, like... Harry Potter Book 5 style angst, but like in the worst way possible.
Yes, it's like someone I don't know, like put a toad in his smoothie or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Give him some chocolate and get rid of those non-dementors. It's all just him being dumb.
Just like, calm down, Anakin, okay?
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Just don't.
Yeah.
And then he gets mad. For the dumbest reasons. He's like, they didn't make me a Jedi Master. Literally, everyone else is a Jedi Master.
The only thing that Hayden Christensen can play is upset. Or mad. That's his only emotion, and everything else is just, like, static.
I don't mind... Okay, so the final fight in this movie is probably the only other okay part. Him versus... Anakin versus Obi-Wan. Okay, he has to turn on his master, right? That sequence is okay. I don't think it's good, but there's some intensity to it. It's not. But then they do dumb things like, why do we have to be jumping around on lava when we could have just stayed in the where it was safe?
Know.
Like, why did we have to move to this? And
yeah.
If you want a really good picture of this movie, you need to go watch the How It Should Have Ended.
Yes.
For any bad Star Wars movie, and maybe even good ones, go watch the How It Should Have Ended, because it criticizes in the funniest way all the bad parts. The sequence of
most of the movie. Basically, she gave up the will to live, and now Padme's just dead because she gave up on life. Like, everything that Padme ever did that was cool is just like, Natalie Portman signed a contract and she has to be in this movie, and she just, like, doesn't want to. Honestly, I think that's the true thing, because
no one looks like they're having fun.
Yeah, poor Natalie Portman. You could hear stories about her during this time of life where it's just like, everything that she did, maybe not so much with Star Wars, it's just like she was in there just to be a girl, and it's like okay, and nothing cool about her. Like, like Luke and Leia need to have cool parents, and
she was cool in the first episode.
but that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And Anakin's really not that cool either.
There's something about Hayden Christensen in this movie when he's playing the dark, like, struggling Anakin, where he's, like, close, but so far. Like, there's his demeanor. I want to like him, but I can't because it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where Revenge of the Sith is a movie that I feel like could have been okay. It could have been, actually, it could have been really good if all the actors in this movie had wanted to be in it. Okay. And you change a lot of the writing. You have to change a lot of the writing.
Yeah.
But the basic plot line of Anakin's struggle becoming dark, if they had changed some stuff in it, it could have been really
Maybe
good.
throw in some tears, some
Oh,
struggling.
yeah. Maybe he should actually cry for once. When
And then the very end, like...
Oh, yeah.
What is up with that? That is...
I'm afraid Padme died in childbirth, and everything I said that could have helped you, I was lying about it. No!
I just imagine, like, a whole audience of people in a movie theater, like, dying laughing at the end.
That's
of a
bad.
movie. That's not what you want.
If it's supposed to be an emotional moment and you're laughing, that's bad. That means you did not do this movie well. It's really bad.
I'm done talking about this movie. It's so dumb.
CGI also in this movie is bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's way too overused. It's bad. Overall, Revenge of the Sith is bad, although there's a small part of me that wants it to be good and wishes it was good. But yes, we are done talking about this movie because you know what that means? We get to talk about another movie that is arguably worse than Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, we get to talk about, if we're going chronological, get ready for the worst patch of movies. The worst, like, 3 hours of your life. Probably more than that, like 4 or 5 hours of your life. Because we get to talk about a standalone movie now. And not the good one.
No, not the good one.
We get to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story. Christina, did I make you watch this movie for the first time like I did with Revenge of the Sith?
You tried hard to make me watch it, but
not really.
Couldn't even watch it.
I actually gave up after about 10 minutes of making you watch it.
Just fast forward through it.
We literally fast forwarded through the movie. I played a couple of the can you call it cool sequences?
I watched the first 5 minutes and I was like, okay,
this is bad.
Done.
Yeah.
I'm done. What was the point? Like, yes. What?
Solo, here's the thing, okay? You can argue prequel trilogy, like, it kind of fits. Like, it's okay. They expanded it enough to where it's okay. It fits in the timeline. Solo should not exist.
It should not. I feel like...
It did not need to. It shouldn't.
The whole point of who Han Solo is that you don't know so much about his backstory. You don't know so much about where he came from. He's just like this lone cowboy that always is supposed to have a mysterious background. And if you're going to make a movie about one of the most beloved characters of all time, make it good, for heaven's sake. Make it really good. Turn it into like a series, hire great actors, give it a great plot, make things happen.
Yes. Solo should not exist, but if it did, it deserves better than this.
It deserves so much better. It's just...
And let's be honest. Did they really think they could hire a young actor? And I'm not trying to diss whoever the actor for this movie is, because I don't even remember his name or bother to look it up. Yeah. But do you really think that you can match the charisma of Harrison Ford?
With anybody?
With anyone. Other than Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. There's no way. They gave him, what? Okay, basic plot. Han Solo, he lives in a place. but he wants to be free, so him and his girlfriend are gonna go be free, but then turns out she got like kidnapped or something. She didn't make it. And then this is the speed version because we only watched the speed version. Then Han was in the Empire or something. He was fighting in a war for a couple years.
Somehow that happened, which does
he got recruited.
It doesn't seem to match who Han Solo is
that doesn't
in any
make
way.
any sense. And then we got to some of the smuggler part, which does fit the actual storyline, except for it doesn't because it's bad. He goes on like a mission. There's some like crystal quartz thingies. I don't remember what they're called. They're power converters, maybe. I don't know. And they have to stop them. They realize that it's the battle is bigger than themselves, and they should quit being selfish.
Of course.
And they had to stop the evilness. So basically, every single plot in existence. No, like
there's no relatability.
Nothing. They tried to do that. Darth Maul makes a cameo in this movie.
For some reason, somehow.
Which technically, okay, if you watch the Clone Wars, it's established in that. I know that he's like supposed to be alive.
Yeah, but
But he was not necessary. Apparently, Han Solo's girlfriend was an evil person.
So you're going to tie in a kid's cartoon into this movie about a beloved Star Wars character, which means is this movie supposed to be for kids?
Because no one else would know unless they'd watched the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
So then it's just like, what? Why is Darth Maul in it?
This is just clearly, to me, it just seems like Disney said, oh, we have the rights to Star Wars. We're going to make movies, but we're not going to use our Disney magic of making good movies.
This is... So we had the Lucas era of Star Wars films, and then it's transitioned to the Star Wars era. Not Star Wars. Disney. What am I saying?
Yes.
The Disney era of Star Wars movies.
It's just like they thought that they could just slap their name on it.
Yep. And say, good movie, buy it. Watch it. It's bad. There's
just, I don't even know.
There's literally zero reason to watch this movie. Even if you're a Star Wars fan, do not watch this movie. They try to tie in all these characters. It's 100% worthless. It does not add anything to the film series. If anything, it takes it away. Christina can't even talk about it much because she hasn't technically seen it. I've seen it once.
I saw enough.
And this is bad. I can't think of a sequence in this movie that I would call good.
Yeah, no, I don't.
There's maybe a couple... There's one heist type scene on a train that has a couple technically impressive things, like with CGI or some practical effects. It's not worth it. You don't need you can watch a 30-second clip of that on YouTube. They could have just
lent all of their CGI ability to the earlier trilogy, and
that would be a better use of their time.
Yeah.
A better use of Solo's money would have been fixing the CGI in the prequels.
Episode 2 and 3. Way better use of their time.
If literally all they did was update the CGI to make it look more realistic, that would have been a better use of time. Don't even change the bad plot. Just do that one thing, and you would have spent your time in a better way. It's dear.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk about the movie anymore because it's not bad and it's not It's not even bad interesting.
Yeah,
like
it's not even a standalone
Revenge of the Sith.
Movie.
Revenge of the Sith is at least bad interesting.
Yeah,
because like it had potential in a couple different ways. This movie should not exist. Nothing. We're done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's bad.
The end.
Yes. But that does mean we now get to talk about the best. Absolute best Star Wars standalone film because there's only two.
Perhaps even one of the best modern Star Wars movies.
Arguably, yes. We get to talk about Rogue One.
Awesome. Amazing.
Everything about Rogue One is amazing.
Yes.
Everything.
It has heart, has good graphics, great actors, great writing.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, there's no comparison.
Yes. Trying to remember, because I haven't seen Rogue One for probably a year.
I just watched the first half of it.
Okay.
So, like,
how does it start off?
Basic plot. It starts off with, well, I can't think of his name now, but there's the guy that is responsible for building the Death Star, and he has the ability to do that. And then, you know, the villain is trying to make him work for him again, and this guy just wants to be alone with his family, and so he, like, gets brought in, his wife gets killed, and then obviously his kid is abandoned, and she grows up as, like, this, like, rogue troublemaker type person, and it's just kind of like a more typical story of misfits, but set in the Star Wars universe. And I'm okay with something being cliche as long as it's done well, because it's cliche for a reason. Like, it works. So why break it?
Yes, if it cliches are made cliches because they work, so long as you use them well.
Yeah.
So Rogue One uses this incredibly well. Storyline, yeah, it's a bunch of misfits coming together. And as with all misfit movies, everyone is driven by, like, a different goal, but they're all united for, like, a same purpose, kind of. Like, it's the main character is Jin,
yeah.
Jin. Okay, I can't remember. She wants to save her father, right? Because her father is in danger because he's kind of sabotaging the. He's working for the Empire, but he realizes that they're evil.
Yeah.
And so he's secretly been sabotaging the work. Jin is trying to save him. At the same time as she's trying to save him, some of these other people who work for the rebellion are literally set up on the hill with a sniper about to take him out, even though that they said they were going to try and work together. And I just love it. Every character feels good in the movie. It's well done.
Everyone has a good sense of backstory and purpose, and a good balance between the decision to be selfish and the decision to act for others, which, you know, that's something I think an audience can relate to. Like, it's not just a sci-fi movie.
The selfless actions have a lot bigger impact when the characters were formerly selfish.
Yeah.
Because you can see dynamic. Yeah, it's changing. It doesn't stay stagnant. And it's not flipped like a switch
and
either.
There's interaction between characters, and it's not just seen in dialogue. It's seen in their actions and just the way they carry themselves. And
has arguably one of my favorite droids in it. I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh yeah.
Arguably one of my favorite. I can't remember his name. I think it's like something with a C or a K.
Yeah,
maybe.
He's awesome. He has a great personality.
Yeah, he's got that dry sense of humor, like the tell me the odds type. You know, we're going to die, and yet even a robot in this movie, like, even though he's been super sarcastic the whole time, gives himself up. He sacrifices. That's really what this movie comes down to in the end, is the sacrifice of each of these people for something bigger than themselves. And
it has a point too, like it fits in.
Yeah. Every character's sacrifice in this movie isn't just I died. It's I died to propel it further, like the plot. Not just the plot, but to propel the goal further. And that's kind of the whole thing of, you know, when you go into battle and you have the people on the front lines, those first people coming out of the carriers and stuff are going to be the first people to die. The people behind you are going to be literally walking on you to fight the battle.
That's kind of the whole idea, which with the cliche of a whole bunch of misfits coming together, that whole idea is unique in itself to look at the background characters of a really important and amazing movie. And just being like, we're going to find these important plans and get them sent off, and it means something, and it doesn't feel small, even though that sounds like something small, and it's just a single line in A New Hope, like people died to get these plans for you.
It's literally from one line to the point of they created this awesome thing that you didn't even. Here's the thing: this movie didn't need to be a movie, but it wasn't forced either. They created something amazing. They told an awesome story, and yes, every main character in this story dies for the mission. That's insane. That doesn't happen in movies. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you kind of knew, pretty sure going in, that they're probably gonna die because they're not in any of the other movies, right? Man, it's such a good... It's just
a complete 180 from what they did with the Solo movie, in which Disney said, we're going to use this amazing universe, and we're just going to, like, use the fact that it is a standalone movie, and, like, so that means we can do these amazing things, like have everybody die at the end, because, you know, it's a standalone. But they're using it well this time, and not in such an awful way. Like this is what it should look like to have a standalone Star Wars movie, where you have the same idea. You have a lot of stuff with, like, the Force still, and you have, like, a connection to the earlier movies, but you still have new characters that you can learn to love, and
and that's really well done on their part, because it's really good acting, really good, and they made the characters. By the end of the movie, when they die, you cared about them.
Yes.
That's where it's critical. There's a guy who dies in Solo, like Han Solo. He, like, shoots him right at the end. The whole Han drew first type thing. I don't care that he died. He just he didn't do anything. He just kind of was there. He didn't serve any purpose to the plot. Every character in this movie serves a purpose to the plot.
Like Jin and the other main guy that I can't think of his name right now.
And that's the other thing, is you don't remember their names.
Yeah,
because they're not supposed to be.
But they had great.
They're like the unsung heroes.
Yeah, they had a great chemistry and character development in that they went from, like, you know, obviously we hate each other. We have very different views about, like, what life is, and then they went to, like, we're friends because of this situation, to, like, actually caring about each other at the end, because they, like, both had come to, like, this really great place, and there was like this sense of romance without it being, like, a traditional sort of romance. There was, like, a hint to it, which I really appreciated and wish had been carried out better in some of the other Disney Star Wars movies.
Yeah, the final, not the final shot, one of the final shots where Jin and the other guy die.
Yeah.
You know, they're on the beach and stuff, and, you know, at this point, they're doomed. Like, they know they're going to die. And so it's, you know, it's kind of like, you know, why not go to the beach? Like, you know, if you're going to die, at least, like, see the sun and stuff. And the part where they don't kiss.
Yes.
It makes it so much better in this case.
Yeah. Where it's just like...
Because a kiss at that point, I feel like, would have been forced. Because there'd been, like, some hints of, like, a romance or whatever. Not really, though. It's more of two people learning to get along together.
It's kind of like what makes people have relationships with each other. Like, what makes people join together in just kind of, like, more than just, like, what we want to do. It's just, like, who they have become together. Like, a joint experience and a joint goal. And being willing to die for that with somebody else is really cool. And that, I think, brings together a lot of other aspects about war and people that do actually fight together in real life, maybe on a real battlefield or off of a battlefield, like what that means to, like, bring people together. So very relatable and very just well done.
Rather than feeling forced, it felt like bittersweet because it's like a beautiful shot of like the sun, and I think it's an explosion actually.
Yeah.
Part of it is like it's literally coming to engulf them. So the last thing they see is like the horizon, and then they see each other and they like close their eyes. And so that's it. They're just they're like together, they're embracing, like they're hugging, and to have someone like in your arms as you're dying is really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it says a lot about like at the end of your life wanting to look back and know that you did something important and like being willing to like lay down your life for the sake of something you actually believe in, which is it's cool, especially in this day and age where we live in, where it's like people kind of like maybe they have ideas and things they believe in, but they're always willing to like compromise.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of compromise, and there's a lot of fighting the wrong battles.
Yeah.
Where people get really upset or triggered about the wrong things.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, this movie displays like what people and like quite frankly people have done like in wars and things before, the sacrifice that people are willing to make. And I think if she had died alone at the end, it would have been really sad.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. And I love that the movie didn't want to end it like that, because that does happen sometimes, but that it offered the hope of people dying together. Like, doesn't like, sound
we're going
to
fight together till the actual end.
Yes.
Like, not giving up and not.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had their values really straight in this movie, and I just think that's inspiring, and especially compared to some other Star Wars movies where it's really hard to figure out like what they're trying to say.
Everyone was motivated, and they stuck to what motivated them.
Almost, maybe not quite in the same sense, but it almost has that like Sam and Frodo were on the volcano, we're going to die sort of moment, like very similar to that.
Like, after all we worked for, we can rest easy knowing that the mission is done. We did what we came to do, and that we have the opportunity to like at least we don't have to die alone.
Yeah,
like,
and they're not even fighting for glory, because
that's
literally
the crazy thing. Yeah,
which is what most people are fighting for, and you see them get the reward in the end. They are not. Their reward is that they did what they believed was right, and they were hoping and that this was going to carry on and be something bigger that they couldn't even see.
They died for their convictions, and not even that. They died for, in this case, there's Princess Leia at the very end makes a small cameo in this movie. They like hand her the plans to the Death Star and say like, what is this that we have? It's like, oh, we have hope. That's it. And that's literally what they died for. They didn't die to win the war. They died to give themselves a chance. Yeah. And it really does. We'll talk about this in a little bit, because the original Star Wars is the next movie in the timeline, because it flows literally right into the next scene.
Exactly.
To the opening sequence of Star Wars, the original movie. The fact that they just died for that. The hope. I lost what I was gonna say.
But I think it captures the heart of what I think Star Wars is kind of supposed to be about, like fighting, like there's good and there's evil and stuff like that. But I think it just brings it to like a more solid point about like what that actually looks like.
We've talked about this one for a lot. It's a really good movie.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Honestly.
The couple other just some good things that they did in this movie. It was the first time we had a completely, not the first time, one of the few times where filmmakers have tried to do a completely CGI character. And that was the General Tarkin or whatever, one of the Emperor guys, the old guy, because the original actor died at this point. And it's not great.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
But if you did not know he was CGI, and you didn't look too close, you would believe that he was a real actor.
Yeah, it's not like a serious hang up in the movie.
Yeah. It's not overly distracting, and it was they gave it a shot, and it was passable.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie makes up for what maybe is lost.
I mean, with
there.
technology like that, you have to start somewhere, and obviously it will get better in the future.
Yeah, it's still really good. Some of the, I don't know for sure if they did any, if it was all makeup or if they did any CGI to Princess Leia's face, because obviously, it's a different actress.
It wasn't perfect, but
and they kept it small. Both those things, like it was just small scenes.
Yeah.
The one last thing I want to talk about is that final sequence, not like the battle sequence, but right at the end when Darth Vader finally appears. I think he like sort of showed up earlier.
He might.
Someone talked to him about something.
Yeah.
But when he boards the ship and whips out the lightsaber, I remember getting chills.
Yes.
Like the movie up to this point had just been building tension really well, so that when he finally appears and he goes to town on all these rebel soldiers, he does not hold back. He just literally, it looks like he's cutting through butter. He just slices through everyone. He's going to get the plans. There's a scene where one of the rebel soldiers, he's like at the door trying to get it open and stuff, and he doesn't even have time to make it out himself. He has time to stick his hand through the door and pass it along to the next guy. And then Darth Vader literally stabs him through the door and like opens the door, and it was like, whoa!
Yeah, like before, it made me so much want to go and watch the original one.
Yeah.
They did a great job of it, because before you didn't think or care about that. So it's great that you can take something that has been dissected over and over again, because it's such a classic, and you can make people feel differently about it. Like that's the sign of a really good, something of a sequel, I guess you could say. It's something built around the same idea.
And it does fill in what some might call a plot hole in the original Star Wars of why would they build this one flaw in the...
Yeah,
I don't think... Star Wars still would have been fine without it, but I think it adds. It helps.
It does, I think.
Yeah. Rogue One, awesome movie. I literally... It's kind of the opposite of Solo, where I don't think I have like a bad thing to say about it. There's maybe one or two things that like could have been slightly better, like they were just okay.
Yeah.
But overall, it's so good.
Yeah.
We've been talking for a while. Let's take a break and then we'll be back.